Namaste. My name is Sandeep Giri. I'm a Nepali immigrant living in San Francisco. In 2009, I came to Nepal and we started a company called Gham, which is now the fastest growing solar electricity company in Nepal. Gham is a word that means sunlight in Nepali. It's also used in connotation with enlightenment. Well, I really can't promise you enlightenment today, but we will share our stories, Gham Power stories about how we're using solar power to fight load shedding and energy crisis in Nepal. And it's not just a matter of being environmentally responsible, but solar energy is an option that also makes economic sense. And furthermore, I would also like to share how you, as Nepalese and well-wishers of Nepal living abroad, can help us in this fight against energy crisis with renewable energy options. So we're going to look at all the different things you can do from here to not only help Gham Power, but the whole renewable energy sector in Nepal. What you see behind me here is our offices here in Kathmandu. The way we started at Gham Power is actually an interesting story. I personally have been working in Kathmandu for the last 4 or 5 years, and this was in a software company called Kathmandu. Now, in the winter of 2008-2009, Nepal was hit by its worst energy crisis, where we had 16 to 18 hours of load shedding. And just like anybody else, in our software company, we can run our computers, we can run our servers. So we were in a bad situation because we couldn't go back to our clients in the US and elsewhere and say, hey, we can't do your work because we don't have any electricity. So we looked around for options, and the management basically said, hey, you guys need to use diesel generators, which I was totally dead set against because I didn't like that option. And being in California, I had seen lots and lots of solar energy installations going around. So we went around Kathmandu looking for solar companies that could meet our needs. At first, we were very encouraged because we saw about 40 companies that did solar electricity in Nepal, but none of them could actually come and give us a solution that could work to power our needs, which was to power computer servers and laptops and communication equipment. So, long story short, at that point we realized nobody was really serving the urban sector in Nepal. All the solar companies were working in rural areas, and the urban sector, there were many companies like us whose energy needs were not being met. So long story short, we went back to US, we partnered with a company there called Solar Power Inc., of whom we're an exclusive partner here working in Nepal. They provide us panels, engineering help, other components, and that's how Gham Power got started. And I'm very happy to report that to date we have installed about 30 kilowatts of solar power, powering about 60 households, including a 4 kilowatt installation for solar streetlights at a monastery. And we're continuing on this trend. Now you may ask, how is this all possible? So to do that, I think we have to take a step back and look at the larger picture. While a few hours of power cuts or load shedding have been common in Nepal, the problem became really severe in the winter of 2008 and onwards. What you see here is an example of this. This is a protest march of all electric three-wheeler Safa tempos in Kathmandu because they were all rendered pretty much useless when load shedding went over 16 hours a day. The government utility company, Nepal Electrical Authority, or NEA for short, has itself admitted that load shedding is going to continue for at least 5 to 10 more years. Well, there's a reason to all this. The reason Nepalis live with 12 plus hours of load shedding is because Nepal's total energy production is only 400 megawatts, whereas the total peak demand is 800 megawatts, and it's growing by 15% each year. Now, Nepal is very rich in hydropower. We all know that. But this promise has not resulted into any actual solution yet. So, the government itself has admitted that load shedding is going to continue for at least the next 5 to 10 years. And the result is utter chaos. Businesses and consumers are resorting to band-aid solutions like inverter battery sets, and they are also very bad at stockpiling electricity. They are very inefficient. And also people are using diesel generators that are dirty and loud. Now these are not viable solutions, and the people are extremely dissatisfied. Now, when we look at solar, the first thing to ask is if it's technically feasible at all. Well, turns out we Nepalis are extremely lucky on that part. The environmental conditions for solar is ideal in Nepal. Nepal is in prime solar area as it gets more than 5 hours of sun each day, which amounts to 5 to 7 kilowatt hour of solar energy per square meter per day. Now in comparison, Germany, which is the world leader in solar, they get only 2 to 3 kilowatt hour
per square meter per day, as opposed to 5 to 7 in Nepal. Now, Germany installed close to 2 gigawatts of solar. That's giga with G. And they did this in 2009 alone, which is 5 times more than all power plant installations in Nepal done to date. So you can imagine when Nepal is getting 3 times more solar energy per unit area compared to world leader Germany, we have to admit that solar PV is a very promising solution to address load shedding in Nepal. So in this situation, you may ask, why hasn't solar already taken off in Nepal yet? Well, the answer is that there's a big myth about solar in Nepal, that this solar electricity is very, very expensive. It's sort of true, because if you look at the upfront cost of installing solar, it does seem expensive compared to what you pay for utility electricity or diesel generators. However, it's not an even comparison, because with the utility electricity, the utility company has already invested a lot in their power plant, and they plan to recoup that cost over time via your monthly electrical bills, which you pay perpetually. So it's a never-ending process if you think about it. And with diesel generators, again, the generator itself may cost less, but you have to put fuel into it, which costs money, and that price keeps going up every year. And not to mention sometimes it's not available, and then the machines, the generator goes through wear and tear itself, so there's lots of ongoing cost. Solar, on the other hand, has all its costs up front. So since the energy is coming from the sun, you don't have to buy an extra fuel like diesel. And since there's no moving parts, there's very little maintenance costs. So, you know, in developed countries like the US, Germany, and Japan, what they do is, in order to offset this cost, they are providing a lot of subsidies. So, you know, there's rebates, there's a feed-in tariff, which means you can sell excess electricity into the grid. So there's all kinds of stuff like that that'll help you, but not in Nepal. But the thing we have to realize is that in Nepal, this subsidy is not really needed, because we're not competing with the utility electricity, because the utility itself has failed to meet the demands of the public. So what solar is really competing in Nepal is with diesel. So if you think about it, if in Nepal solar can be provided at the cost of diesel with really good financing and with really good parts, components that last for a long time, there's a really big opportunity for solar in urban areas.
To make that possible, what we did was partner with the Solar Power Inc., the company in California, who provides us one of the best quality solar panels and also other components. Now, because we have this direct relationship with the manufacturers, we get the best components at the most economic prices, so we can pass those savings to our customers. So because of that, we can give a 25-year warranty on the panels, and also we're the only company in Nepal that provides a 5-year warranty for batteries and other components of the system. Also, to avoid this big upfront investment, we partnered with Clean Energy Development Bank of Nepal, who has developed the only loan of its kind in Nepal that gives a 5-year loan to purchase solar panels at a very aggressive interest rate. And also they do it without any collateral. The solar PV system itself is a collateral. Now, because of that, people don't have to pay a huge upfront investment. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is that people feel empowered by this because they don't have to pay Gham power up front. So there's this bit of insurance that, hey, we have your money and it's with us. We will continue to pay you over time as your system keeps functioning. So if your system doesn't work, we have some leverage on our side. Now, this is very, very different for a Nepali customer, because most of the time people will go out, even let's say, for example, they're buying an inverter or battery set, they'll pay anywhere from 20,000 rupees to 2 lakh rupees, and they get this inverter battery set, most of which we've seen are going bad in a time of 1 year to 2 years. At that point, their whole investment is sunk, and they're really struggling to find good service. That's why it's a very different experience for a customer with Gham Power, because the upfront investment has gone down.